Hey everybody, it's Jamie, and welcome to our Dev Diary number 14, where today we're going to give you a first look at franchise mode. And as usual, thanks for joining us here for this Dev Diary series here because at Geeked Out Basketball, we're developing the world's best deep tactical basketball simulation game. It's Football Manager for basketball because hardcore basketball sim gamers like all of you, you need your game too. And without further ado, let's jump in. All right, franchise mode is going to be the crown jewel to Geeked Out Basketball. This is going to be a mode, we're going to have single game mode and tournament mode if you want to have fun and play like a little tournament. But franchise mode is I know what you all want to play. It's the game mode I prefer to play. When we launch, we're going to have a single player version where you can play your own against all computer run teams. But in the future, the true crown jewel of this is going to be a big, robust, multiplayer franchise mode. I'm going to give more details on that. What we're going to be launching in the alpha at the end of next month, literally a month from today, if all goes to plan. Today is December 28th. You're going to have a franchise mode with 8 teams. It's going to be one conference. When we get the full game launched after the alpha and then after the beta, we're going to build it to accommodate ideally it's going to be a 128 team league. So again, this is right now it's set up as a hypothetical high school basketball, call it AAU situation, whatever. It's going to have conferences and regions and end of season tournaments and rankings and recruiting and all that kind of stuff. We'll get into all of that. And a lot of that's still being put into here. What I'm giving you today is a first look at franchise mode, just so you can start to see the nuggets of where this is going. So what I've done so far is I'm playing as Lancaster. I'm trying to play as different teams of these 8 teams to kind of give you all a sense as I do these Dev Diary videos. Lancaster is they're the physical, tough, defensive team. What I've done so far is I've played through 2 weeks, and I simmed the whole first 2 weeks just to get some stats and some other things rolling. One thing I'll tell you, you're going to see some wonky stats, some wonky scores. We've had everything calibrated on the back end, but now as we're syncing it to the front end and we're putting in geography-based reasoning. So, players are going to make different decisions depending on how aggressively the defender's guarding them, where geographically the defenders are on the court, different things like that. It's adding much more depth and realism to this, but it's throwing off our calculations a little bit on the back end. But we're working through all that. We're going to get that cleaned up in a matter of time. And one thing to note too is really using men's Division I basketball statistical outcomes as our foundation for all of this. So in terms of just the very base likelihood of committing fouls, committing turnovers, getting steals, just executing, running fast break, or not running, but executing fast breaks, etc. But then all of that stuff, we just kind of use those stats as the foundation, the starting point. But of course, all of that changes, it toggles up and down, and it alters based on how you run your team and how you run your franchise and what strategies you set and that type of stuff. So that's got a starting point that's going to vary pretty significantly based on your strategies and your coaching, but then also on the strategies and coaching of your opponents, whether they're computer-led or if they're human, which you're going to be playing against human people in the very near future. And then one other question some people have asked. I've been asked, is this a college basketball sim? Is this a pro sim? Right now, it's a high school basketball sim. That being said, mods are an essence of sports simulation games. So we're going to have modding ability once we get the whole foundation of this nailed and tight and working properly. And then if there proves to be more demand for a college style sim or a pro style sim, we can adjust this very easily. Honestly, long run, we want to have all 3 levels, high school, college, and pro. and we'd actually like them to ladder into each other. So the high school players will graduate into a college level recruiting system. All the college coaches can then look to recruit those high school players, and then the college players are going to graduate into a pro level draft system, and kind of go like that. So that's the long-term vision for this. And the good news is we're getting the foundational game in play. And so then in terms of, whether it's going to be high school, college, or pro, that's just a matter of adjusting from 4 quarters for high school to 2 halves for college to 4 quarters for pro, dealing with quarter lengths, the amount of fouls to foul out. Those are very, very easy things to adjust once we get this core gameplay loop for both games, seasons, and careers or franchises built as well. So let's jump in. I just kind of want to show you. So franchise mode, assuming you've got, once you get your franchise set up, you choose your team, you're going to be running everything through what we call the franchise command center. And what you're seeing right now is a start. This is the foundation. We're going to have a lot more stats and a lot more functionality in here as we build this out. But this is what you'll see right now. So you'll be here at the franchise command center. Up here at the top, you're going to have some core information about your team. We only have it wired for team chemistry right now. And your chemistry is going to be toggling up and down throughout the season. It's really based on a number of factors. A lot of it in how you manage practices. Are you winning more games than you're losing? Are the right players getting playing time? Do you have any frustrated players? Are they significantly influential players? That all plays a role. And one thing to note is your max chemistry is going to be 25. So you can see through 2 games, I've actually been pretty effective at managing my team chemistry, despite the fact that I'm 1-1, and I've actually been getting outscored. We haven't wired in these measures yet, national rank, prestige, all that. We're going to get to that, and then I'll kind of explain what those mean when we get to that point. This is really, offense will just be an overall measure of your team offensively, defensively, your athleticism, your intangibles. Then prestige is going to be a measure that's going to help you with recruiting. And I'll get into what prestige does and how you build it and how you lose it and that type of stuff. And then national rank is just going to be where you rank once we get the full 128 team structure built out. There's going to be weekly rankings after every week's games that the beat writers and the national writers have votes on. So we got a standings page here. Right now, this just shows standings, which is win losses, win percentage, points for, points against, and each team's next opponent. Down here, we don't have this wired yet, but down here you're going to see news and headlines and highlights from last week's games and key storylines to upcoming games. We've got a whole beat writer system that's going to be coded and programmed into this. And it's going to be really robust once we get all 128 teams built out. You're also going to be able to see all regions, all conferences, records, standings, that type of stuff once that gets built out as well. Next, we have the roster page. So this is your current roster, your current players with all of their attributes based on how they're evolving or de-evolving based on your training. These are always sorted in descending order, your highest rated players down to your lowest. We're going to put a sorting ability in here. It won't be hard to do. We just haven't done it yet. To where you could just say you want to sort by attribute. You could just click on the SC up here, which, by the way, we put the tool tips in here now so you understand which, just hover over it and tells you which each attribute it is. But you could sort by attribute value as well. We don't have that yet, but we're going to have that in here pretty soon. And then down here, we've got season stats for the current season. One of the main things you're going to see when we look at the stats is there aren't enough shots being attempted and too many shots are being made. All the teams have too high field goal percentages, but we're going to be toggling that. The geography-based outcomes that we've had in here playing in along, it's not just geography, it's everything else too. But the geography, introducing the geography to the system we had built has thrown things off a little bit. So I'm working on fine-tuning that. And then the way we have them, I think the way we have these, I need to get clear on the sorting down here. I think I'm going to recalibrate it to sort it by points. So your highest scoring player is always first, descending down. but we'll get that figured out. You can kind of see through 2 games, I've got one guy averaging almost 15 points a game, another guy averaging 10. And yeah. So next we got the team tab. So this is going to be sort of your health center. You know, your overall just like what are the weak and strong components of your team based on the way you're managing it. So here you can see the shooting, just your ability of your team to convert points, to score points. It's kind of sitting right at neutral. I've maxed out rebounding. Both offense and defense execution are toggling positive. You're going to see movements to these positive and negative throughout the season. And it wouldn't be uncommon, especially if you, let's say I start neglecting defense install during training, this could turn red, you know, within a couple weeks. Fast breaks and press traps. We're pretty strong there. We're not playing with a very aggressive mindset right now. We're slightly undisciplined. Right now, momentum is non-existent. I'm actually thinking about, I had a good suggestion from one of you in one of my previous videos. I think I'm going to make momentum a player-only trait and pull out overall team momentum. And then I've got a couple of ideas for what this attribute might be here, what we can replace it with and how it can impact things. More on that in a future video. And then we're slightly negative. That's what these slight red dots are here. I need probably a better UI here. But we're slightly negative on both our fast break defense and press trap break offense. And then down here, you'll kind of see this is all your playbooks. So again, right now I just have the standard playbooks and the power forward focus plays in here. I'm going to get the other positions plays put in here as well. And then there's going to be, I think I'm going to make it more manageable, you'll be able to like click on standard, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, etc. To kind of just see those plays. But what you're going to see here is what kind of command is your team building. This is based on how much you're running the plays during practice, but then also how much you're running them in games. The more they run the plays in games, they're going to gain more of a command, especially if they're successful. And then we're keeping track of a season success rate over here. So you can kind of see we've got a 100% success rate for the 3-2 motion. And then we're also going to keep track of which player has scored the most points in this play. And these are going to be cumulative season stats for these plays as well, too. I need to check the code. I think this is season. So you can kind of see our motion. We've had pretty strong success rates. So I probably want to start running more motion. And then in terms of set plays, pretty decent success rates. These might actually just be from the last game. I need to check the code. Sometimes cursor and working with cursor and codex, they don't always follow direction as well as they should, because I do think that we should have more cumulative points in these plays. But that being said, I'll check to it. But at the end of the day, this is going to represent your overall season success rate for every play, and then which player has scored the most points in that play so far. So this will just be a little bit of a thing for you to check. And then down here, you can kind of see the team is gaining pretty good command of the defenses so far. And that's because first of all, it's Lancaster. They just perform a little bit better defensively. But secondly, I have been focusing on defense install during training as well. And we're going to improve the UI. If you've got any thoughts or feedback on just things you'd like to see based on this, let me know. But like, for example, I think we'll put numerical values in here as well, too, so you can kind of get a little more sense of where the team's command on all of these stands. And next we got stats. So these are conference-wide stats. And whatever team you're playing as, if you have a player in the top 10 in any stat category, they're going to be portrayed in your team's primary color in that font. So like, for example, I've got Irvin Miller, who ranks 5th in the conference with 29 points scored. Jeffrey Jackson out of Four Corners, who's a freaking stud, has scored 40 through 2 weeks, so he's averaging 20 a game. Kind of see for assists, we got 2 guys in here. We got Norris Kahn with 11 and then Irvin Miller with 9. So Miller's got points and stats, so he's playing very well. This should be 3-pointers made. I need to adjust this. Wilbert scored 2 for us. This is rebounds. We got one guy who ranks second in rebounds. And then blocks. Blocks are not registering properly. That's something I need to work on as well, too. And then steals. Irvin is back there, so he's in points, assists, and steals. So he's my point guard, right? And he's having a really good season. And then Benny's actually one of my better defensive players. He doesn't have much offensively in terms of skill set, but he's a great defender. And you can see he's up there in steals. And then down here, this is just a really basic start to team stats. We're going to blow all of this out and give it sorting, so you'll be able to see like field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, like all, free throw shooting. It's all that. This is super basic, right? Just points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Just for like building these out at this point, we just got them synced to all of the stats being built up here. Okay, so that's the stats tab. And we'll probably have player and team stats toggles up here, tabs. So like sub tabs under this tab as we go. Here's the schedule. And so schedule, you'll see each upcoming week's games, and so you can kind of see next week we are playing. Who are we playing? Four Corners is visiting us. And then what we could do is for all the previous weeks, every single game you can see box score. So your game, but also the computer simulated games, the computer versus computer teams. And then you can also go revisit your training report from the week leading up. So you can kind of see like all the different trainings that we ran and kind of what impact we had on things and how we impacted the playbooks and everything else. And then if, let's say I'm playing Four Corners next week, they won 107-55 this game. So I'll come here and I'll check out Four Corners, and I can kind of see just their last game. Jeffrey Jackson scored 23. Charles Black scored 21. JG and Kala scored 17. So they were very balanced. Again, look at this, 42 of 46. So I definitely need to work on the field. That's not enough field goal attempts in a game, and obviously it's far too many makes. So we're working on that. But here I'll look like they're running their motion offense really well. They were successful 100% of the time on 29 plays. And then set plays, they run about half as much, 15. So again, we'll get this recalibrated with better stats. But then you'll see how you can kind of use these, right? So they only ran man defense 12 times. They ran zone 16 times. So a pretty even split, but a little bit more zone. You can look at your previous opponent and start to think through, how do you want to build your game plan for the next one? You can kind of see in terms of types of zone, they run the most 2-3, a bit more 3-2, and a little bit of 1-3-1. So maybe I want to focus a bit more on outside shooting because they kind of run a lot of zone, which is actually, first of all, a great defense to shoot outside against. But then secondarily, they run in zone optimized to stop inside shots. So again, I think I'm going to dial up outside shooting with my training and my game plan. So you can do that. You can look at all box scores. And then over here, you can kind of look at this throughout the season, but this is your list of recruits. So when we hit the end of the season and you start, enter your recruiting orders, which I'll get into that in the future, you can start to think through, okay, so who am I going to want to focus on recruiting? So like, for example, if I look at here at Lancaster, first of all, look at my center, all-star center is a senior. My best all-around player, who's a small forward, technically is a senior. And then Irvin, my point guard, who's playing amazing, he's a senior. So those are probably going to be the three biggest positions I'll want to look to fill. Timmy here could maybe play a little point guard. He's only a sophomore. And then I do have a backup center coming in, but he's going to be a senior. And then, Khan here is probably the closest replacement to Struthers. But I'd like, my other deep backup center, Jeremy Johnson, is also a senior. So I probably want to find a big man and then also more of a pure point guard, because even my backup point guard, Benny Pena, is a senior as well. So, obviously any of these three guys who are projecting as centers, I'm going to want to look at. And one thing to note with recruits, obviously, their attributes are going to be lower. They're going to grow into stronger players. So, for example, this guy, amazing defender, right? Already has a 7 inside defense. Even though his rebounding is a 2 and his strength is a 3 and his scoring is a 3, Obviously, you're going to be able to coach him up, and this guy could be a pretty robust player by the time he's like a freshman or even like maybe a freshman, but definitely by the time he's a sophomore and junior. Whereas this guy is a little bit more, this Amari Jarvis, he's more of an offensive-minded center, right? He's got a 5 scoring, only a 2 defense. He's also a 3 strength and a 2 rebounding. And then we've got another guy who he's only 6'1", 179, so we need to put some meat on his bones and hopefully he'll grow. But he's a strong inside defender at a 5. He's a good passer, so we could use him in fast breaks. And then he's got, pretty strong strength as well, pretty good strength. And then if I want to find what point guards I'm going to target, I look here like this guy's kind of like a classic point guard. He's got 7 passing, 5 ball handling. So right there in a pretty decent IQ at 4. So you can start to build your target list and kind of focus on where you're going to want to allocate your recruiting resources and hopefully bring into your team to kind of grow your program and that type of stuff. So let's run a little training. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do just an auto train just to fill everything, and then I'm going to adjust as appropriately. I'm going to dial back my fast break defense and press trap offense. I'm going to bring press trap defense install down here. I'm going to put offense install up to a 2, and my outside offense is a 2, my shooting offense. So I'm going to want to focus on that, and I want to scrimmage it quite a bit. So let's bring scrimmages up to 2. Instead of strength, I'm going to dial up agility, and then I'm going to give my guys a couple breaks. And I think that should do it. I'd love to dial, you know what? I'm going to dial back free throws and dial up conditioning. And we're going to go systems coach, and I'm going to really coach up the offense on this one. Okay, so let's look at training changes first of all. So you can kind of see down here, aggregate change. I got a plus 36 on endurance with my conditioning. That was my biggest gain. But then a plus 30 on shooting, which was my second biggest gain, which was great. I maxed out my team offense execution. So my total focus on offense, you kind of see how I synced it with dialing up offense install, shooting, doing extra scrimmaging to really help the team process and put into practice the offense install that we did, and then focusing on offense as my main focus for the week via the systems coaching offense. You kind of see how that's got me to a max offense for this game, which should help. It also worked so the chemistry's maxed right now too, which is great. So the team was obviously very excited to work on offense, and you can kind of see we got some pluses up on our plays as well. With all that stuff, and no training notes. We're going to have a more robust training notes section in here, but great. So we should be sitting pretty good offensively. So I'm going to build our playbooks. I've been working a lot on data persistence, settings persistence. So let's just kind of build right now an even distribution for this standard plus power forward focused thing, playbook. Let's make the power forward quick jumper the first in the play call center, the double screen for the shooting guard second. Let's make the pick and roll third. And let's make the base post play fourth. And then let's put 2 motion plays in here. Those were all set plays. I'll go 3-2 motion inside as 5th in the play call center. And again, as a reminder, play call center are plays you can call in real time during gameplay to override the presets. And then we'll go with this, and you can put 6 plays into there. And now for zone defense, I'm going to bring 2-3 zone. It's 4 corners. They're a good inside-outside team. So I'm going to go 50% 3-2. I'm going to go 50% 2-3, which is a more inside-focused zone, 30% 3-2. And then the 1-3-1 is a more like mix-it-up sort of defense. So we're going to go 20% with that. We're going to submit our playbooks. So those settings will hold for the next game. And let's go play four corners. By the way, they're undefeated, and they're an offensive juggernaut. Maybe I should have focused on defense. They're scoring almost 100 points per game. Holy moly. Well, good luck to us. They're visiting us, so let's see what happens. Okay, so we're going to keep Irvin at point guard. We're going to move Henrik down here to center. We're going to keep Buckles at power forward. As you coach your team, you're going to get to know them. So I know these teams pretty well. I'm going to keep Struthers at the 3, move Kahn out to the 2. And then from a game plan perspective, I want to go inside. I want to slow things down a little bit. I'm also going to be 100% and get back on D to slow down their fast-breaking offense. And I'm going to dial back on the presses and traps. I don't want to get into just a full, sprint with four corners. They'll run you into the ground. So I want to keep things slowed down a little bit. I'll do a few more half-court sets than fast breaks. I don't want to remove fast breaks altogether, but I want to lean more. I'll sim one quarter, and then we'll call it a video. Okay. I'm going to. Okay, I didn't call that play fast enough. That's fine. We're running the power forward post motion, so we'll see if we can get the ball inside. Okay, no, defensive foul. Now we're going to do our 3-2 motion. We're going to look to get it inside. Henrik must not have been posting up effectively. I like it, though. We're slowing it down. We're running our offense. That's what we want to do with four corners. We want to slow the game down. We're going to work on the animation. These motion offenses are a little too perfect, a little too blocky. There he is. Irvin Miller hit the three-pointer. Now we are going to press coming out of the gate. Interesting. Even though I set that down to a lower setting, it's still there. Okay, we committed a defensive foul. So these animations are still super buggy in the presses and traps. We just haven't cleaned them up yet. We've been focused on other stuff. Okay, and we got the board. Great. So now we're going to be running a 4-1 motion. I think next time we get the ball, I'm going to run a base post play to Henrik inside. Okay, they stole it from us. I mean, I'm happy with the fact that we slowed it down the way that we have on a team that's scoring 100 a game. Dang, we fouled them. Okay, so it's 3-3. And, of course, they're pressing us. That's what four corners does. So hopefully Irvin can handle the ball well. Oh, yeah, we broke it. And look at that. So, again, we'll have better animations. Henrik probably actually went in real strong and did a post move there. But right now it's pretty straightforward. But still, you can see. Okay, they just hit a 3. So now they're up 6-5. And now they're going to trap us. I mean, this is what four corners does. They'll constantly pressure you. Okay, we broke it. Now we're entering the base post play. And Henrik didn't convert, but he got fouled. Okay, we'll take it. We'll take it. He missed his free throw. Missed them both. Buckles got the rebound, though. He's a cleaner on the inside. Let's go man defense. And then we're going to try a pick and roll next time we get the ball. Okay. So they're up 8-7. Okay, they're not running a presser trap. So we're going to try the pick and roll to Wilbert, who I would say is our best player. There's the pick, and he goes in, and he scores, and he drives. Great. Okay. I'm going to keep it on the inside for these guys. We're going to try the base post play again to Henrik. Yeah, I should have focused a bit more on defense. We're really not stopping these guys. They've already got 10 points. Okay, offensive foul. Again, the presses and traps, when there's like a foul on either team or a turnover, there's this weird animation with them going all the way down the court. That's going to get fixed. We just literally haven't gotten to it yet. I know I've already told you once. That kind of stuff drives me crazy, but I guess in the spirit of doing a Dev Diary series, you get to see these warts, you get to see these bugs that we haven't cleaned up yet. Okay, so we're going inside to Henrik, who's our best player, hopefully with the base post play. No, he got his own board and kicked it back out, though. Okay, so now we're doing a 5-0 motion with all of our guys outside. We really need this bucket. Four Corners gets the lead, they'll start running and they'll bury you. They're also a pretty high momentum team. Okay, so maybe I need to get Irvin even more involved. I don't know if I have any set plays for him, but he's having a good season. That was poor coaching on my part. I have no plays set for Irvin to get on the inside. Let's do another pick and roll. That worked pretty well last time. Surprisingly, they've pulled off on the traps and presses. Ah, dang, we committed an offensive foul. We got guys getting tired. I'm going to call timeout next chance we get. Yeah, we're not stopping them defensively as much as I would like to. I hate calling a timeout there because they weren't pressuring us again, but I have guys getting tired, including my two best players. So we're going to pull them out. They're both down in the 70s. Let's put Marconi in here at center. And let's move Khan down here to small forward and bring D-Paz in. Actually, I'm going to bring Pena in. See, Pena is a 9 outside defender and a 5 inside defender. I need to get some defense on the court, I think. And then Buckles is down to an 83, but I don't want to lose his rebounding. I'm going to let him play out the quarter probably. And I probably want to focus on more, because with Miller and Khan being my two best scorers now, and I don't have, Henrik on the inside, I'm going to bring inside back down here to 2, and I'm going to max out attack and outside. Okay. So there's a minute left. We're down by 6. Okay, we're running a 4-1 motion. So Marconi will be on the inside. Ah, dang. Yeah, we missed it. I've got yeah. It's four corners, that's what they do. Okay, they ran it down to the end, and they scored the three-pointer. So we're down 20-11 to the best offensive team. There's a little bug here. This should be reading 8 minutes for the start of the next quarter. I think it picked up the time from the last time out. Take a look at the box score. For us, kind of see motion plays. We're running about a 50-50 mix. No real insights there yet. We're executing set plays better than we are motion plays. That's something to keep in mind. And then defensively, we're struggling all around. We're doing significantly more man than zone. I think I got to try a little zone. We're 0 for 8 on man. So I'm going to try a bit more zone as we go into the next quarter. So the way that I would do that is I'd come here to the game plan, and I would dial zone up here, and then just play around with a few other things. And then I would go back to the lineup and adjust my lineup as needed. So hopefully that gives you a sense of where we're going with franchise mode. You can see this is a start, but you can see the foundation of all the fun and all the strategy and the coaching that we want to build into this, with also a dose of gameplay too. This isn't your typical deep sports sim where you're just setting a few settings and then the games just simulate themselves. You can just simulate the game and let it go, but I love to get in and play these games as well too, and kind of like see my coaching decisions and my training decisions come to life in real time, and then adjust and coach in real time as I need it. Sort of like a fun little story. When I was a kid, we lived in a house. We lived in just like a 1-story, just modest, like middle-class house. And the way it was designed, we had a hall room that went right down the middle. And, we had like the living room, the dining room, the kitchen here, and then the hallway went here, and it was like our bathroom and my room and my parents' room and my brother's room. And my brother and I had a Nerf basketball hoop set up at the end of that hallway, kind of where it was like the living room, the dining room, and then there was like a closet right there, and we had a Nerf hoop, and he and I would play like basketball games there, sometimes against each other, and sometimes we would play solo. And, when I would play solo, I would have like the Celtics against the Knicks, and I would be keeping track of how many points each guy was scoring, like Larry Bird and Robert Parrish and Patrick Ewing. And in my mind, there was always this constant chess match going of like, okay, Patrick Ewing has 4 fouls, so Boston's going to try to pass it into Robert Parrish to draw the 5th foul. And like, I don't know, it was I just kind of want that sort of like thing going on during gameplay where you're always thinking strategically and you're trying to take advantage of the situation. And I wanted to bring that sort of like thought and fun and constant strategic thinking into this game. So, yeah, as usual, thanks so much for watching the video. If you've watched it this far, it would be great if you could subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. It's probably the best thing you could do for us right now to help the algorithm know that people enjoy watching this. And then if you want to be one of the first people to test our alpha, we're going to be launching it at the end of next month. There's a link in the description below, gobalpha.com. And then also, if you want to speak to me directly, ask any questions or give any comments, you can come into our Discord. There's a link to the Discord below as well. All right, thanks so much. I hope you all have a great day. And as always, thanks so much for watching the video. Bye-bye.